This is Shane Bettenhausen, the Director of New Business Development at Ignition Entertainment, and we're presenting Muramasa the Demon Blade for the Nintendo Wii. It's an action-adventure RPG from Vanillaware. You might know them. They made Odin Sphere for the PS2. And this is kind of a throwback to the classic games of yesteryear, a little bit of Super Metroid, a little bit of Castlevania, but with a setting in feudal Japan where you're playing as two different ninjas on a quest to collect 108 swords of destiny and defeat these evil demons. And really, the gameplay is the key. It's an amazing game. Lots of combo action, 108 different swords, enemies to fight, huge bosses. But really, the art style is also what stands out. It's kind of inspired by Japanese woodblock prints and a lot of beautiful pastel colors. And it's not the kind of game you see a lot on the Wii these days. There are two types of main swords, long swords and short swords, but within that there's elemental differences, and every sword has a unique special attack, and that's really important to the game because just fighting special enemies, some of them will thrust enemies into the air, other ones will shoot projectiles. It's really key, especially when fighting the bosses in this game. When you fight a boss, you always get a sword from him, but other ways to get swords, you'll find some hidden in levels. A lot of times you'll have to return to a previous level when you have a key that can unlock a door, so there's some retraversal. But there's also a guy who will forge swords. You'll find pieces of swords, you'll combine those and make original swords in the game. Yeah, that's a big question, and actually there's no waggle, no motion control at all in this game, and it's an intentional choice. The developers of Vanillaware initially did try using waggle, and they said it was just too imprecise and too exhausting for a game like this, because there's a lot of precision gameplay during bosses, and I don't know if you've played a lot of the other action games for Wii where you are using the motion control, but it's usually a little iffy. As you know, the game is split into two separate stories, one for the female character Momohime, another for the boy Kisuke. And those games, if you just get the basic linear, stick to the straight path, it's about 8 to 10 hours of gameplay. But if you want to go back and get everything, try to get all 108 swords, I'd say it's an additional 5 hours for each. Plus, there's a harder difficulty level, actually 2 harder difficulty levels that make the game incredibly hard. I'd say on the Muso mode, which is the normal mode, it's a little easy, most guys can do it, but if you switch to Shura, which is difficult, it's kind of like a Ninja Gaiden style difficulty where regular enemies pose a serious threat. You'll find yourself dying in levels because you really have to defend a lot, and then there's a secret hidden difficulty level that is completely absurd. Previously, Vanillaware had made their games for the PS2, so they're comfortable with that level of detail on the art, and they really would like to make a game in HD for PS3 or 360, but the amount of art that would need to be produced would be huge, and they're kind of a small team. In fact, George Kamitani, the game director, he does a lot of the in-game art himself. So I think moving on as they grow, perhaps we'll see that in the future. But Wii seemed like a good fit for the audience, and they also felt that there weren't a lot of games like this, a lot of traditional character action games for Wii. So I think it fills a void. I think this game is going to hit two different audiences. First, it's going to hit hardcore guys like me, guys who grew up playing Super Nintendo, NES, all those great character action games. But I think they're also hoping to reach younger gamers, casual gamers, female gamers, people who haven't necessarily been marketed to with games like this. But it's a universal thing. It's a fun game, cool art, has a lot of universal appeal. I'm hoping it hits a wide audience. It's a tough one. I like a lot of things about this game. I mean, the art is an obvious choice. I love the way this game looks, but I also really love the music. The music is fantastic. There's a huge variety, and it's really good.